The following podcast is a production focused on storytelling, exploring new TTRPG systems and their supplements. This podcast is not sponsored by any of the systems or their owners and is meant to be a fun, interactive book club. Respective credits for songs, sound effects, and resources are listed within the description or details. And with that, please enjoy, adventurer. Welcome to the Tables and Fables podcast, the interactive TTRPG book club, where we pick up new mechanics, bumble through systems, and ultimately tell fun stories together. I am your DM, GM, and the one who knocks. Shaving a haircut, 2 bits. Tim, joining me are my two co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
Hey there, I'm Collin, playing Benjamin.
And this is Amanda playing Scrap.
I think currently when we left at his last point, you had just purchased the map directly from Gapos and Devon Famora for a general area in the vicinity of Castle Ralnor in the northeastern section of the Stillwake Marsh. The swamplands are still treacherous, but supposedly the map should help you with navigating the swamps a bit easier. But is there anything that you would all like to do at all while you're in Stillwake, or excuse me, in Cluster Rock? Because I mean, you got a little bit of you got some monster bits that you could graft. You've got some that's one thing we haven't really done a whole lot of is the grafts, and I'm not going to force anyone to do anything, but it is a situation where if you're going to be going for a long rest, I mean, potentially you've got the opportunity to do so now, to be able to graft it to yourself or anything. So,
Yes, I wanted to ask about that because I have the frog skin. So
right.
just one more time. So it is, you can't use the ability within the first 24 hours, or what are the exact parameters?
Right. So let me pull that up again. I knew I was forgetting to pull up something before we just started here. Attaching a graft. Attaching a graft for the first time is a laborious surgical procedure. Normally removing an original body part. The procedure takes 1 hour and requires a healer's kit, alchemical supplies, and a knife, or a facility with access to such tools, as well as someone with proficiencies in those tools or with a medicine skill to perform the operation. Monstrous graft is permanent until another graft is provided to replace it. One component in each body slot. When you finish installing the monstrous graft into your body, you lose half your hit points and all your hit dice. For 24 hours after installation, you can't use the graft's abilities as you have to its presence. And then replacing a graft or adding a new graft to in a body slot takes only 30 minutes afterwards. You still lose half your hit points for replacing a graft, but you don't lose your hit dice. So the first time you do it in a slot, it does the whole procedure. But yeah, it takes 24 hours where you can actually use the abilities.
Quick question about that. There's no, let's say, we. It takes an hour, if ever. And this is, I think I'm just asking of the DM at this point. Let's say, I wanted to assist with the graft with the other person, since I may or may not be doing. I'm not. I don't have my own graft. Would there ever be anything that would help in having an additional person assist with the surgery, with the graft? Um,
I'm gonna
in your
scrub in on
opinion?
this.
So it doesn't really state anything as far as anyone assisting you the surgery. We're kind of playing a little bit fast and loose with this, I suppose, if we were to do that. I would argue that I don't want to remove too much of the mechanic associated with it, primarily because we're kind of experimenting with it.
Right.
So I don't know what benefit there would be to providing the operation. Because I think the whole point is that it still takes 24 hours to recover, right?
It's
So
not done with rolls. I should have
no, it is
clarified.
no, it just means if you have the proficiency and you have the tools, you're able to do so. But then it's got the specifications of time limit and other factors such as losing half your hit points and then all of your hit dice.
Got
Doesn't
it.
specify anything else for rolls.
Okay. I didn't. I was just because I didn't know if you could fail grafting.
I was wondering about that, like you lose the item or something if you botch it so badly.
I'm sure there's probably something you could maybe homebrew into that. For the purposes of this, I don't think we're gonna do that. I don't wanna Frankenstein you both too much. So,
I don't
yeah.
need any more help with dice. Alright, then I think before the long rest, then I think I will take the frog skin and graft it to myself.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it was water breathing, which was gills, which is a head slot.
Yes. Let me just quickly. Amphibious adaptation. You have grafted the gills of an aquatic creature to your neck, allowing you to breathe both air and water. Again, we've always talked last time for biology's sake. It is basically just the donor is any creature with the amphibious trait, which was what the giant toad had. So we're just arguing that it's just the skin of it. And I think did you say kind of like thematically how are you placed like grafting this to you?
I was gonna
I would
say, should we
imagine
go to Dr. Honeyeater's for
Yeah, I was about to
um
say, are you doing this out in the street, just flat out just cutting open your throat and just
right in the map shop. Let's go.
My
Yep,
goodness!
oh no, prestidigitate sparkles. I say probably back to Dr. Honeyeater's just because it's at least secluded and
Sure.
potentially has medical stuff there.
Is there a mirror in there? If there is, I could imagine Scrap would probably be there trying to angle it and look where she's cutting. And if there's like a handheld mirror, Benjamin could hold it. Or if she's like privacy, privacy.
Sure. We'll say that you guys decide then, after you've gotten your map from Gapos and Devon, Femora. So, Scrap, how are you gonna? Are you basically just telling, like, how are you playing this out as far as to why you're making a detour?
I guess as she's walking, she kind of pulls it out, the scrap of skin. I imagine it's probably roughly the size of like a hand towel almost. It's like, if we're gonna be going out into these, God's forsaken swamps, we should have all the advantages we can, right?
You're gonna try it out. He did teach
I
us
mean,
how to do that.
so you haven't done it either?
Not yet, but I mean,
Right.
this would be as best a thing as any. As he leans over and looks at it. Oh, this is it's gonna hurt. He says, just matter of factly.
Yeah, I would imagine it would. So let's not be outside. Head back to Honey Eaters. I'd imagine so would there be a mirror, any sort of reflective surface?
Sure. So as you make your way back to the offices of Dr. Honeyeater, you've arrived and you found that the dwarven guards that were there beforehand have left the place. The door is still ajar. There doesn't appear to be any kind of evidence of anyone having gone in or ransacked the place any further, because after all, basically the police have just shown up and done their investigation, so no one really wants to poke their heads into something that the Empire has been looking into. So you are able to go inside of Dr. Honeyeater's office. Again, a lot of this area you had taken the time to clean up, and during that time, as you had cleaned it up, you had found, you'd found a couple of large, tall mirrors. Most likely, you could deduce were used for examinations. As far as turned about side so we can see what's upon your back, that kind of thing.
Imagine she's kind of set up at the mirror. She's got the knife. She's pulled out all the kits in front of her.
Benjamin's scrambling. He's like, should I find like something for you to bite down onto? As he's nervously trying to look for something. Um, as I'm sure she knows what she's doing, but he just wants to make sure that she's gonna be okay.
Conversion of coin, it's 1 gold is 10 silver.
Yes.
Bite down on a coin. Do I have like a
Gonna roll a
belt?
quarters or something? What are you doing?
I was thinking she was trying to think of a way to get him out of the way, so she'd be like, "Go get me a bottle," but that's 50 silver for one of those bottles of whiskey.
Oh,
You know what? I would really appreciate it if you'd watch the door. Make sure nobody comes in. Keep
got it.
everything sterile as possible. As she's looking around, seeing the ramshackle nature of the building, which it has holes in the walls, if I remember correctly.
He nods. I can do that. I can do that. Um, um, and he goes out and he'll just kind of shut the front door and just kind of sit on the front of the stoop, almost as if he's guarding it, and just sits there and waits, kind of
Right.
listening.
Scrap, as you take the knife in hand, the surgical tool that you have used on other bodies before for the purposes of examining cuts and opening them up to be able to further clean at certain wounds, respectively, you look at the glint of the knife in the dim light of that Dr. Honeyeater's office, and you flash back to essentially the first time you were shown of how to do this. You are in Dr. Honeyeater's office, his actual office, the upturned rowboat desk with dimly lit candles. There is a small boy upon the rowboat, kind of as a makeshift operating table. And you find that he actually has several bandages over his eyes that are a deeply colored red, kind of where the eye sockets would be. And the boy's chest is going up and down in kind of a erratic movement as you can see, there's a visible aspect of fear and hesitation. Standing above this boy's body is, of course, Dr. Honeyeater. And of course, you remember again the intimidating presence of such a tall individual, gangly and thin, with those long limbs wrapped in white cloth, leather, and rope. As he leans over, his pointed beak mask looks up to you, and his head turns to the side slightly, with also the black glass glinting in that of the dim light of the candles.
Now you'll have to pay good attention here. Hand me that bottle upon the shelf.
Kind of looks over. What does the bottle look like?
Where he's indicating, you see that he's doing like a general wave of the hand, and you can see that there are a number of jars and bottles. You can probably deduce that, given the nature of the bandages over this boy's eyes, that it is most likely going to be a replacement of the eyes themselves. You look about the jars and you see various different organs floating in them, appendages, and various things in kind of, formaldehyde and various preserving agents. And you see that there are two small black eyes with kind of golden slits upon them. And you recognize as they're kind of bobbing in the water, or bobbing in the formaldehyde, rather, the preserving agent. And you can presume that that's what he's indicating.
Right. She carefully grabs it with two hands so she doesn't drop it and picks it up and hands it to Dr. Honeyeater.
He takes the jar in hand, and as he begins to slowly unwrap the bandages, he looks to you for a moment as he's still unwrapping the bandages.
How long have you been with us, Raven? Was it 41?
42, sir.
2, right. How long have you been with us, 42?
Been here about a year?
Yeah. Tell me, small thing, what were you before this?
Well, I've always been a Ratling. I used to be a uh, entrepreneur on the water.
He stops unwrapping for a moment, then looks up at you, just his head tilted to the side once again in a very bird like fashion.
A buccaneer, pirate of nature, yes?
Yeah.
So you have much experience then of removing limb and eye from another.
He continues to removing the bandages slowly.
I mean, I tried to avoid it when I could, but I'm not a stranger, I guess.
Tell me, why did you wish to take under my wing, as it were?
She kind of holds up her right arm, which has the scald, which is the burns that go up to her elbow. Well, I get busy with cures, I get busy dying, I guess.
True, I did mention the potential of a cure. Still, I can't imagine that's the only reason, or is it just simply a singular selfish purpose? No judgment on my front, just curious.
As he finishes unwrapping, his long arm outreaches to you, fingers uncurling to grasp at the jar as he pulls it into himself and begins to fish out the respective eyes.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to be selfish, but I guess when the crew's healthy, everybody benefits.
Help one person, then help many others.
More or less.
Not to go fully into the gory details essentially of what has been going to be occurring here, but as he continues to operate upon this small boy, you can see that the boy's fist begins to clench as one eye begins to be inserted into a respective socket, utilizing that of the special alchemical ingredients and methods that Dr. Honeyeater is aware of and able to practice.
I think instinctively she would have reached out with her hand and just kind of placed it over the top of his clenched fist.
The boy's fingers quickly grasp at yours and hold so very tight upon your fingers. You've had people desperately cling to you when they're falling off of a boat or even the moment of when someone's in their death throes, but this is different. This is a child, a person that is not someone maybe you've had much experience with in your career, but enough that it is a different type of pain altogether.
Think with her other hand that's not being grasped, she waves her fingers for a moment and prestidigitates the scent of lavender, anything that could be comforting in that moment, but she knows she can't do much beyond that.
Dr. Honeyeater, as he continues the procedure, finishes, and then he takes out the other eye, says,
And now you. Help one, and maybe this will help another someday.
as when he flicks the knife and presents it to you. We cut back to you with the knife in hand, and you bring it closer and closer to your throat to remember not to dive too deep, to cut just enough to be able to replace that of the organ that you need to.
Imagine she's kind of breathing hard. She stops herself a couple times. I think she reaches out at one point and touches the mirror to cast light so that it glows brighter, so it's easier to see as she goes for the side of her neck.
Do you make any sound at all?
I imagine it would be hard not to, but she'd try not to. I mean, it's just as she's trying to keep from causing a scene, I guess, but also moving her neck too much
Mhm.
with the blade in hand.
Benjamin, outside upon the stoop of Dr. Honeyeater's office, the door closed, you're able to hear the brief, small murmurings or utterances of Scrap inside. And you yourself recall the first time that you had ever seen Dr. Honeyeater perform this type of operation. This is something that you had seen him perform many a time when he had first arrived in Cluster Rock, a strange procedure that earned him a strange notoriety of an individual that is able to graft different pieces onto an individual. Did Benjamin grow up with anyone in particular as far as elderly or anything like that?
He probably would have gravitated towards the ones who took care of him as a baby in small town. Any of the gnomes or anyone else in small town who may have had a hand in helping raise this Sutton baby. He would always be friendly to everyone, but I think he would probably want to always try to take care of the older ones more. So he would probably know what their names are, as he's friendly with everybody.
You knew that there was an older gentleman that you had assisted in carrying his, like you yourself struggled with that of your bone disease associated with having the scraping of bone against bone and it creating an arthritic pain in your joints and making it difficult for you to move about. But there was an older gentleman, an older gnome that you remember that had a deep gray beard, which some people had mistaken him for a hunched dwarf just of who he was. This person would occasionally give you sweets and just make sure that you were keeping out of trouble. And what do you think this individual's name was?
Sorry, I'm
No, it's
just gonna be
it's doing some audience participation. Well, that's an audience
Right.
participation, but
Vote now for the name.
how about I like that. Jorik, as that's first name that I was able to kind of pull up. Jorik, Jorick.
so Jorik, older gnome, deep gray beard, essentially, a little bit hunched over. The thing that was odd about this individual was that he wore a wooden nose and kind of like a half mask, simply because you knew that there was a part of the magical miasma affected him in a way that it ate away at his flesh. So there was enough ugliness to him that he was a bit vain about it. But because of this, it also meant that he was unable to smell particular things or even do things on his own because it did eat away at various other parts of his body. And you remember when Dr. Honeyeater was examining individuals in Small Town, he had met Jorik and had you had seen that he had taken something out of his pocket. Dr. Honeyeater was, out of his jacket pocket. And he produced what looked like to be a syringe with a long tube attached to it.
I can certainly help you with that if need be.
And Jorek just looks to him and says, "Oh, what do you mean? Help me with this." It's like,
I can make it so that you can smell once more, that you can feel better, move about.
smell?
Yes.
You can see some hesitation in the gnome's face before he gives kind of a rapid nod. And you see that Honeyeater just takes the syringe and leans down. It's impressive to see an individual so tall just kind of crouch down to a gnome's level. Almost to the point of where he looks kind of like a bent over frog, strangely enough. Just crouching. He takes the syringe and puts it into that of the old man's skin, kind of under his wrist. And he begins to kind of gently pump, it seems like, some kind of fluid into him, while taking another bit and starting to, it seems like, with a different syringe, take different stuff out of him in his other arm. And you find that the skin begins to grow back slightly over the course of several sessions. And it even gets to the point of where he arrives one day with that of a nose belonging to a you recognize a nose that looks like it belonged to a troll. And he then grafts this upon Jorek's nose, or where his nose used to be, and Jorek was able to smell once again and enjoy things that he used to, as such as wines and various other spiced foods.
Mr. Jorek, you look great. How are you feeling?
Much better. I can smell once more. I can taste once again. Enjoy many things. My boy, it is quite something I have long thought I would never be able to partake ever again.
This is great. I'm super happy for you. This is wonderful.
Would you say that this would have been indication of your further interest of that of Dr. Honeyeater?
Absolutely, 100%. Seeing this already, he's felt a little bit grateful to be able to move fairly freely again without as much pain as before, and having his bones be transformed into that of a bone knight, to be able to help people once more, and to see this happen with Jorek. This only further helps Benjamin think, if I learn how to do this, I can bring back other things for other people, and I can continue to help out even more. And it would make him eager to learn more.
How would you approach him to be wanting to join the Pale Ravens?
How many sessions would you say it took for Jorek after my conversation with Jorek? About how many sessions in would that have been with Dr. Honeyeater?
We'll say it would probably be about 3 sessions, like over the course of maybe a week and a half.
At the end of that session, he would go in and knock on his door. The look on his face would you'd almost be able to read it on Benjamin's face, as he would just knock and then just kind of wait there after he'd had his conversation with Jorek, and he would go to talk to Dr. Honeyeater.
So Dr. Honeyeater would have answered the door at that point, stooped down below, absentmindedly just waving you in.
You're not due for another session for some time. What was you? What I don't recall your name.
Benjamin, and I want to learn what you do. I want to do it too.
Why do you want to learn what I do?
He pauses for a second. I want to be able to help people like Jorek. I want to be able to give someone a little bit of happiness back, so they can do things that they were once not able to do, but now able to do again. Maybe be able to restore something that they lost. I want to learn that. I want to do it.
Interesting. Well, you can certainly do that. That does require you donning that of my order. I'm sure that will not be a problem for you.
Oh, today?
Yes, today.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. He very eagerly nods his head. So do I wear stuff like what you wear, or?
Not exactly. You'll wear something similar. Your own flair to it you're welcome to, but I do say you want to be a bit more personal with your own decoration, your own clothing. So, style it up, as it were.
He looks down at his current clothing. Style it up. It's a very basic,
Big handy towel.
very
Just
basic.
it's just a potato sack. Is that what it is? Just says potatoes.
Almost a potato sack.
All right, we cut back to post surgery, post self surgery, and you've lost half your hit points and all your hit die. So of course, is there anything else that you guys would like to do while you're still in the relative safety, I suppose, of that of Cluster Rock, or is there anything you would like to do here?
When you finished, are you quiet now? I'm sure you didn't
I would
scream and yell
imagine
throughout.
so.
Are you just like just there's just no noise now? You're just kind of resting?
Imagine she's kind of slumped. She's slid down from the wall onto the floor. She's probably been crying, so like her fur's matted down the side of her face, her whiskers and furs all over the place. And I would think from about probably her ears down to her collarbone and across is where that patch has gone across the front side of her neck. So she's not talking very much.
He panics, and through the door, "Are are you alive?" He calls out. Uh, "Could you, like, bang on the floor or something? Can I come in? Are you" Oh, if she's dead, she wouldn't say anything, though. "I wanna come in," as he's starting to ramble and panic a little.
As you're rambling and panicking, you see this spectral green rat hand come through the doorway with a thumbs up, the mage hand.
"Oh, okay. Alright. Okay, good." He wants to go in, but he just he waits a little bit longer.
So Scrap, you have gained the amphibious adaptation, which allows you to breathe both air and water. Additionally, you have basically attached kind of the webbing associated. You had collected that as well to gain minimal fins and gain a swim speed equal to that of your movement speed.
I do require a ribbit at least once every other session.
I mean, it is right across the front of her throat. Just,
Oh god.
ooh, it's sorry.
Did you actual croak there, huh?
Ba-dum-tsh.
Was there anything in particular that you were wanting to discuss or anything you wanted to do at all before we move? I'm assuming until the next day because you need kind of a whole day to recover.
After like an hour or two, I guess Benjamin still would go inside, as given ample enough time to he would knock and very slowly open it up and say, can I come in now? Do you need water? Oh, I don't suppose you should drink anything quite yet. As he just kind of comes in and sets the door.
She's still got her head kind of leaned against the wall, and she just slowly shakes her head, wincing a bit as the movement. Then she just prestidigitates like glitter again, just saying, "Yeah, I'm okay." A little smile.
At that, I guess he would just quietly sit down nearby and just he would just rest beside. I was thinking that he would I would take the time to just start talking and just tell her a story or something, since she wouldn't be able to speak back. This reminds me of the time, and he goes on a completely different, unrelated tangent of a time when he was helping out somebody in Cluster Rock that needed something, and it's just a story for Scrap because he feels like he wants to fill the silence a little bit until she maybe waves him off, but he tries to make her feel better by telling her a story of when he was in small town helping somebody.
I think at first she would kind of roll her eyes and kind of huff a little bit, but just something to focus on other than what's happening with her neck. I think she probably would relax and listen.
And then just eventually just do a long rest.
You having fun with dice over there?
Oh, I'm having loads of fun with dice over here.
Is there another giant toad that has scrubbed
The
up on
absolute
us?
stomach drop that both of us just had seeing you rolling dice. Is like,
Oh, yeah, that's always something nerve wracking to hear.
The floorboards begin to
From
creak upwards. Another toad comes out.
oh, no.
So it sounds like you're just spending the night here at Dr. Honeyeater's. So
Mhm.
a majority of the night goes by, and I guess part of the day goes by without really on any event. Occasionally, you get some individuals that stop by later in the afternoon of Honeyeater's, knocking on the door and asking for him as far as any kind of medical assistance he had provided in the past. You actually get one individual, a young woman, human woman with kind of a short blonde hair, and just she has a bit of a limp to her that she has a crutch that she is utilizing as she knocks on the door. Is Dr. Honeyeater in?
At the moment, he is not, as he kind of steps outside and shuts the door to give Scrap some further privacy while she recovers. Right now, uh, we are the ones looking after everything. Are you all right, miss?
Oh, yes, I was meeting with Dr. Honeyeater regarding my leg. I'm a bit thrown out of sorts when I fell about a week or two ago, and he's been helping me recover. He said he might have some painkillers, some poultices to help with that.
Okay. Have you spoken with him yet? Has he given you anything yet?
Uh, he's given me just I don't know the exact terminology of it. It's a bluish powder that I will put in my tea.
Okay, a bluish powder. Well, if you, I'm one of the assistants helping him. Do you mind if I go in and take a look and see if I can find out what he's been giving you?
Yes, please, please.
Of course. And my name is Benjamin. What's your name, miss?
My name's Hildy.
Okay, one moment, Miss Hildy. I'll be right back. And Benjamin will go in and go into the office where all of the jars and everything was and poultices, and he'll begin looking for what she described. Any sort of if there is an already finished bluish powder, or if there's anything that resembles roots that are blue that need to be crushed, and he'll start to take a look.
Sure. So I'd say give me an investigation check. It's not going to be that difficult because you had cleaned up this area, so you had kind of sorted things accordingly. So give me an investigation check.
Okay. I'm gonna use my inspiration because I like the idea of using my inspiration to help
Sure.
people. He's
Oh,
really into it.
okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and use that.
Again, it wasn't going to be a terribly hard check. So you rolled. First time was a 3. Second time was an 11. So with that 11, you find some blue powder. You know it to be just kind of a base. It's derived from a type of a plant that's a bit of a paralytic, but it's when it's kind of powdered up and mixed with a few other additional things, it creates a not a terrible painkiller in the sense that it just knocks you on your ass. It's something that dulls the pain significantly. So you do find a bit of this blue powder.
Is it already metered out in a portion, or would I need to do so?
It looks like it's kind of just in a jar itself. It doesn't look like it's metered out really. It's just kind of in a jar.
I have an empty health potion from the one that I drank from earlier. Is there any sort of utensil I could scoop with as I look around the kind of the area for any sort of scooping utensil, spoon, anything else to get this into the
Yeah,
potion?
not difficult. You would have found probably something right next to it, like a wooden spoon.
Got it. And he'll begin to put in. Let's see. He first like kind of meters out how much he would think would go into a standard cup of tea, and puts in 1, 2, 3.
Can
And he
you give
goes,
me a medicine check?
sure.
So as you're spooning this out, you know that not to add too much, but just enough to basically put into a singular cup of tea. That should help her throughout at least the day. You do need to meter it out, of course, so she has at least a few cups. And you know that this is only something that should really be done once a day.
Okay, and I would think Benjamin takes a guess of 4 cups. When I put in 4 cups worth into my health potion from the spoon, how much does it look like that's left in the jar? Sorry to get so granular.
No, it's fine. There's still plenty. There's enough there, but it's you know
Then he'll just make it 8 cups, just so she can have something for longer than a week. Because he doesn't know how much she got initially, but hopefully 8 servings will be enough to kind of tide her for a while.
you dole that out. Passing by scrap. Are you still just kind of recovering? What are you doing right now?
Imagine at some point he had explained what he was looking for. She was gonna help him look, but seeing he figured it out, just starts kind of looking through some of the other bottles area, I guess.
Scrap, you should be resting.
She waves. Fine.
And he goes back out to the front.
You see Hildy there. She is leaning against her crutch, just kind of expectantly waiting for her medicine. And you can see a look on her face as she gives a light beaming to it. And oh, thank you.
All right, Miss Hildy, I was able to get some here. There's enough for eight cups of tea here, 8 portions, and hands it over to her. Remember, just once a day, when the time comes that you would need to use it.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Of
Um,
course.
could you tell me when Dr. Honeyeater will be back?
He was doing some research, I believe, but as soon as he comes back, I'll be sure to try and let as many people know as possible.
Did he happen to say where he was going?
He's always been pretty secretive about his own activities, so unfortunately, I don't know.
Thank you kindly. If you do see him, could you please let him know that I was around?
I will definitely.
Thank you. And you said your name was Benjamin?
Yes, that's me.
Thank you so much, Benjamin.
And she gives an appreciative nod and begins to hobble away.
Not to go completely left field, but this is almost identical to a conversation I had with a provider at work, kind of.
Really?
Complete with limp and blue powder?
No, but
powder?
like, oh, when is this gonna be back? Do you know where they are? And it's like, no, not really. It's not gonna be in stock for a while. It felt like a conversation I would have at work.
Well, I'm not trying to like bring up some memories here.
No, I was just like, I
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
this is customer service. I am well handled I'm well equipped to handle this.
All right.
So I'm leaning into it. This is great. But yeah, he'll kind of wave as she goes. Was she like same age as Benjamin, older? He's about 25.
Probably around your age, probably early 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so you spend most of the day kind of just taking it easy, resting for the most part. At this point, it is now in the early afternoon slash evening, so it's been about 24 hours. Scrap, you find that you have become accustomed to this new graft. You're able to move your neck left and right, up and down, and it doesn't really feel as tense. And you feel as though that, yeah, it's a part of you now. It feel just with the various alchemical ingredients and methods that were associated with that effect of Honeyeater's procedures, you can move about freely.
See, she's kind of stretching out. La 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 la. No, it's working.
You sound the same too.
It feels weird. Her fingers kind of run the line between fur and what I imagine is like warty toad skin.
Don't touch it. Stop touching it.
It's mine. I can do what I want with it. It's weird though. She kind of pulls. I imagine it's super stretchy. Just kind of.
Just playing with your waddle.
Don't stop.
It's
Careful.
weird.
You just put that on.
You are in public.
But yeah, I don't need anything for the peanut gallery. She says she kind of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
let's work. So I know we can't test it out yet, but we should probably hit the road soon, right?
Right. Sounds good. While Scrap was recovering and while I have been giving giving that medicine to Miss Hildy, I would like to have made to see if there's any type of check I would have been able to make to be able to clean up his poultice area with the
Mm.
medicine so I can be able to freely access it for easier searching next time. As I'm sure he had his own setup for it.
Mhm.
But I would begin to set, you know, eyes and head and up over here, shoulders and down over here.
Yeah, a sort of
Poultices and leaves and greens over here.
sort of a modular filing system for yourself, right?
Mhm.
Associated with that of the body parts, of course. Yeah, you take
Yeah.
your time to sort it out. I don't think you need to check for this. It's sorting. It's you're just sorting it all out.
Yeah, and over time, if we are ever resting in there, I'll try to see if I can continually make it better for the both of us to find things quickly and simply. So, just making a little more headway into making this space ours for the moment while we take care of business. So that's what I would have wanted to have done in the downtime. In the meantime, while Scrap was recovering.
All right. So, what do you do now? You are in Buster Rock, etc., etc., etc.
Well, time to go.
I think so. Feel well enough to move again. So follow the map out to the north. Is it northwest, northeast, northish?
I think it was northeast.
Yes,
We're
northeast.
we're both leaning over and looking at the map. Kind of got it.
Trying to get this way and that.
So you're heading into the swamp, going out of the northern gates from Cluster Rock, the major gates that you are allowed to leave. You pass by the respective dwarven animated armor guards as they allow you past into the dense swamplands of the marsh. So who is going to be using the map and who is going to be leading the survival checks?
I will do the survival checks.
Okay, and what pace are you guys taking to kind of move through the swamp?
Say probably just a walking speed because we don't necessarily know what we're going to run into.
So then, if you're going to be doing that, you can take the check with advantage with using the map.
So we're going over in this direction as he peers at the map. With advantage, I rolled a 3 and a 4.
Cool. All right. Awesome. 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 Okay. So we're gonna do a couple of things on my end here. You can go ahead and speculate on your end.
I don't know why, but I've got a bad feeling about this.
I think we're okay. I mean, you know,
Sir,
What?
I think
What?
I'm feeling the same way you're feeling, Scrap. Miss Scrap.
yeah,
Sorry.
something. I'm not miss, and something's on the wind. Something.
It takes some time, even though this is a rather decently drawn map. You do discover after a time, utilizing it though, Benjamin, that Gapos and Devon Femora have kind of utilized a special, particular way of utilizing cartography. There are landmarks that say that they're there but are not, but then you realize that there are some indications of what essentially stating that they were once there. So it takes you a moment to kind of get reacclimated to, okay, so this is slightly outdated but slightly not, because they're basically using the exact same paper to keep updating the map as opposed to just doing a brand new map to update with current reports. So it takes you a moment to kind of get associated with the area as you kind of keep going further and further into the swamplands.
Their writing is so confusing sometimes.
Are you sure I can't take a look at it? I mean, I've pored over many a map to goods.
You know, I I think that would probably be helpful here.
I take a look at it.
Okay, because for this time being, you were then lost in the swamp. Oop, I gotta look at the chart.
Failed by one of my only +1s on my ability check.
You were lost in the swamp for about 4 hours, and it's a little bit harder to see as you are finding that it is getting closer and closer to evening as you make your way through the northeastern part of the swamp. And the dim lights of fireflies begin to occasionally glimmer in the distance and close by every once in a while. The cacophony sound of small toads and frogs bellowing and crickets chirping until eventually you find yourself in a large part of the swamp clearing. There are a number of kind of dying trees of stretching their limbs out in kind of sparse areas. It's still a bit of a hard. It's still hard to see in this area, but at least Scrap, you've got dark vision, correct?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I do have my backpack with me that does have some torches. You can't light things on fire, can you?
I mean, yeah, I can, but do you want to waste it? I mean,
I have many.
what's the radius on light for torches, by the way?
20 feet bright light, additional 20 feet dim light.
So I do have the light cantrip. I was thinking of lighting like a dagger or something, because that has the same range, but it wouldn't cost us any torches. To you, if you want me to light a torch for you, though.
If you're able to use light and still hold the map, yeah.
I guess she pulls out one of her dagger, I should say, and she taps on the blade, causing it to sheen with a bright red light.
Creates a strange atmosphere about you with this red light into that of the swamp. It's almost akin to like a flare lighting up the area, and you see there are a number of white glimmering eyes in the dark that just see this light, and kind of some that just dip under the water, or others just kind of fade away into like brush areas as they're scared about away from this light. After a time, Both of you give me perception checks.
19 for me.
20 for me.
After a bit, you're able to, the both of you, find that you are hearing something off in the distance. It sounds like arguing. And the arguing sounds a bit disjointed as far as its grammatical structure. A bit potentially like two idiots just arguing over something. You're unable to deduce exactly what, but they are deep, bellowing voices that appear to be arguing over something.
You hear that?
Nice. Like they're having a good time. We did determine what direction they're coming from.
Kind of a little bit north of you.
We're already headed that direction. Could mean safe place. Yeah, let's start sneaking that way.
Okay, you gonna sneak?
I would say we should go some snooping and
Yeah,
spooping.
we'll be quiet.
Give me stealth checks for the pair of you.
Oh, it was a 5 for me.
17 for me.
As you get closer and closer to the sound, you begin to hear the voices a bit more clearly.
I wanted it. No, me. I wanted it. I was the one that killed him.
As you begin to get closer, Scrap, you snap a branch underfoot. Benjamin, you are currently behind a tree. And Scrap, you're able to see directly in front of you two ogres that are arguing over a dwarven body they have hanging in a tree in front of them that they're pushing back and forth. Like it's basically essentially like a ball on a rope as they kind of keep trying to take it from each other. They do not notice you yet, Scrap.
From behind the from behind the tree, he kind of beckons her over, so she can kind of join him out of sight from the ogres.
I think she'd carefully try to sneak behind the tree, either next to or directly behind.
So you begin to be pulling yourself back, slowly moving to behind the tree. The branch lightly snaps, and one of the ogre's heads just whipped in your direction.
What was that? What do you mean? I heard nothing. We got good meat here now.
The other ogre looks back to the ogre as they're arguing.
What do you mean good meat?
And then the other ogre. I need to give them something more defining than other ogre, because I'm trying to do deep voice, but it's hard to do a distinguishing deep voice between the two of them. So one ogre we'll say is wearing they're wearing a red sackcloth around their chest, just kind of red, and the other one is having like a bone necklace. So bone necklace, as he's kind of gripping the dwarf body, he takes a big chunk out of it, just ripping out a chunk of flesh from the arm, starts to chew, and as he's chewing with his mouth full, he's like,
Just better than all the snake man we've been eating. Never gonna get anything else like dwarf in a bit. They always journey with some of those cranky men.
I still have not noticed you, but you are still not behind the tree.
He's kind of breathing quickly, panicking slightly. He's looking for the range on prestidigitation here.
I believe prestidigitation is not, I mean, depending unless it directly states via your cantrip, I think it only is like 10 feet. Unless you have
It is
something that you
10 feet.
can, unless you cast it through unless you have the ability to cast it through something else. Like a familiar or something.
I would try maybe one more stealth roll, see if I could get behind the tree. But to increase my odds, she's going to kind of twiddle her fingers, causing a green glow as she tips the scales of fate with a die of fate.
He doesn't still get it, does he?
I mean, yeah.
Oh man.
That's mine. You successfully move behind the tree as the two ogres continue to argue over their newfound meal. You're both behind the tree. Like, what do you do?
We should just stay quiet. I don't think we want to interrupt them.
Sorry, I was trying to look, and then my
Sure.
character just leapt into the clearing. I'm so sorry. It struck me.
For those that are not aware, so we're using Foundry, and essentially Amanda has just taken their piece and almost flung herself directly in front of the ogres. Basically doing a bonjour as right in front of them. So,
Hello there.
Hello there.
Going-
Check. Sorry, working with the trackpad, not used to it. Totally just yeeted her into the
do you want
situation.
me to pluck her and put her back behind the tree? I can do that easily, but okay, there you go. All right, behind the tree.
I'll
Safe and sound.
figure it
for
out.
now.
Yeah, I think it'd be best for us to stay quiet for now and hope that they maybe leave.
I mean, how much of this dwarf is left?
Considerable amount. I mean, they were just fighting over it at this point. They had like just killed it looked like. And now they're just kind of one's just taking a bite from it as they're both fighting over the hanging dwarf.
I'm looking to see if there's any cover nearby them. We might be able to sneak a little closer.
Why?
Because we have to go past them, don't we?
We
Going
can
north.
wait. We can. Let's wait.
How long? You want to be out here, and what if they see us once light hits? We're gonna be in just as much danger.
Do you also have your dagger still lit?
I imagine she would have stowed it when she heard voices, just because we were
Okay.
sneaking.
Sure.
Sorry,
Okay.
I should have expressly called that out, but
Sure.
Are we looking to go past them? Is there like a pathway that continues past them? And are they in the way of our path?
So what you're seeing right now is a general area of the swampland. You're heading northeast to get towards Castle Ralnor. They are directly where they are located, which is about northeast. However, I mean, there are areas of the swamp that you could try going through, but it's going to be difficult terrain and potentially a bit treacherous. So,
Dab kind of leans over. I don't suppose you got like a bone grenade or something you can toss at these guys.
He shakes his head. No.
Do they look in any way damaged by their scrap with the dwarf?
in the evening light, you don't get the sense that there is much damage done to these ogres.
This is this the literal definition of stuck between a rock and a hard place?
You get the drop on them, put some real hurt on them before they're able to notice.
We can't fight them.
What's your plan? Providing them with hors d'oeuvres? They've got what they need.
I guess we could try to sneak around them.
You want to try to sneak around these guys? They're huge. It's going to take so many different checks.
What's a check?
So, sorry. We're going to have to check the surroundings many times in order to accomplish the.
Well, if you want to, I hate fighting, but if you want to fight, I guess we can. Really don't want to. As he's he's always ultra nervous when it comes to fighting, as he's probably in his life maybe gotten into a pushing match with maybe some kids when he was a kid, and then he fought a giant toad yesterday. I'd say that's like the breadth of his combat experience. So he's very nervous, but if you want to fight, he'll fight alongside you.
So, looking at the map, what is this kind of patch that's just south of Trolls? Is that like a warren or some sort of hill?
All these ogres here? Yeah, so that's it's a jut of a hill.
Let's try to sneak a little closer. She kind of points to the hill that's across the way. We can decide then if we can give him the slip or if we're gonna have to put the hurt on him.
There's worry etched all across his face, but he slowly nods.
Give me a group stealth check then.
This is marvelous. I really want to. I cannot wait. I am actually rather excited for you to tell us what happens here, because this is quite marvelous. I cannot wait to please tell us. Tell everybody what this result has. What has just happened.
No. I want you to all bear your shame. So
I rolled this free.
We both rolled natural
roll ones. You both
Nat
rolled
ones.
ones.
It is incredible for the both of us to get
At least
a combined nat one. That is
Yep.
That is the
spectacular.
That is
Yep.
Wow.
So again, did you guys have the time to make your backup characters at all, or just
Yeah, kinda.
all right? Cool. As you both make your way around the edge of the tree, you find that there is a situation in which, Benjamin, you and Scrap, almost simultaneously, your attention still diverted in the direction of the ravenous ogres. You hit the same gnarled branch, tripping forward. But as you trip forward, the branch uproots itself. And as it uproots itself, it kind of causes bark up the side of the tree to split, dislodging that of a bird's nest in which a number of birds just kind of that were asleep for the night just start cawing and fleeing the tree. The two ogres immediately turn in your direction, and red sackcloth looks and says, "Hey, what's this then?" And they point their giant club over your direction. "Some more for the campfire, more for my belly." And the red sackcloth begins to move closer.
Wouldn't do that if I were you. We're outfitted by the Clankers, and she pulls out the glowing red dagger.
Give me a deception check.
She's going to twiddle her fingers as she does. There's a bit of fate on her side, hoping.
Lady Luck is just really like not happy with us today.
It's 13.
The ogre gives kind of a raised brow. It stitches, like furrows a little bit before he just shakes his head. "You ain't from no clankers," and starts to move closer. Just still his giant, massive form waddling underneath him. The other ogre behind is actually delighting in the fact that his companion has not done any, is deciding to take point on this, as he just takes the dwarf and just kind of still is eating him like a kebab.
Wait a second. He speaks to him in a way like he would speak to one of the many kids in small town. "Wait a second. You two are friends, right?" He says. He is very afraid, but he's going to try it.
"Friends?"
"Because he's eating that guy. I thought you both were going to share him." And he points at the dwarven body.
Red sackcloth looks back at the dwarf and then looks to you two. "What should I need to share now? I've got two of you, eh?"
"Well, that's because he thinks he can take whatever he wants. I think you should teach him a lesson about sharing."
The ogre looks to you, Benjamin, and there's just a blank face upon him as he just blinks slowly. The other ogre behind him just chewing, mouth full of dwarf, as he just continues to chow down. The concept of sharing is not exactly too prevalent in their minds, especially with the one in front of you that has, as he stated, two lovely little delicious things to eat. I'll let you do one more thing, potentially, because I'd say that you could try to roll a persuasion check on that, Benjamin, but I'm not going to guarantee that's going to do very well.
Okay, I do have one more thing then.
Okay.
Because he said he likes meat. You like meat, right?
Yeah.
He lifts his shirt up.
What are you doing?
He lifts his shirt up,
What are you
his
doing?
bony ribs protruding, and he extends his bones from his hand. "I am all bones. You don't want to eat me. I'm way too pointy." And he shows off his ribcage. He is very thin-built. He's skin and bones, quite literally. Yeah, that's. He tries to show him that he's not very meaty.
I don't know why, but the way that you were phrasing it, of just he lifts up his shirt. "You like meat, right?" I don't know why, but it was just like the check out these abs or something. Just like,
no.
What?
If he likes meat, there's no meat here.
I was
That's where
very
was
curious
going.
of the direction that you were going in, Collin.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you guys were concerned, because I feel like that didn't come out of my mouth well enough.
It was sounded like you were coming onto the ogre. It just,
Well, hey, if you want to get out of the problem that way, more power to you.
Smacks his lips a moment, and then you see his massive tongue lick out to his lips, and then "You would probably be a well pick out of my teeth, yeah. What about her, though? She looks delicious." you just talk.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, if I'm going
again, audio medium. You basically just offered a hand to that of Amanda, like, "Well, you're on your own there, man."
I mean, I don't know how to. It's a.
So nice to say. Really, I'm all piss and vinegar. And she pulls out her finger, makes into the point of a gun shape in her hand, and fires her finger gun.
Okay.
Oh, so you're just flat out going to attack?
You're just going to attack him.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Well, I'll send you my character sheet in a bit.
Okay, so go ahead and make an attack roll, because you're surprising him. I'll say that much.
That was the best roll I'd done all game.
You fire, promptly blowing up a piece of rock next to him. As he kind of just lumbers slightly out of the way at the sudden burst. And then he gives a deep roar and begins to advance upon you. Go ahead and roll initiative, please. The faces that you're making are not... I'm not delighting in it. I'm not delighting in some schadenfreude here. But it is a little amusing, I should say.
I feel like I've ruined a friendship. I might have deserted my papers. He's ready to kill me.
Scrap, it's your turn. I will say this, as most DMs typically don't usually say this, you do have the option to run. That's just putting it out there. Like that's just a thing. Not a push in any particular direction, but you do have an option to run.
Above table.
Mm-hmm.
Collin, are we going to run?
You shot at him, so I feel like if we're shooting,
We can
well,
run.
we-
My charisma was crap, which is why I didn't want to waste another die. So do you want us to run?
If we run, that's fine. If we fight, it's also fine. We're here. We're in the now.
You're gonna have to be a little bit more resolute, both the pair of you.
Yeah.
in
Go ahead
deciding
and make your decision. You've got to. You fired. We got to make sure if we stick with one, we're going with one. If you feel more confident in your attack rolls versus your running rolls, go for it. If you feel like running, let's run. Because right now we got one ogre watching, and then he might eat the ogre if we kill him. Be like, hey, big pile of meat right here for you.
I'm going to try to hit him with some 4 starts here just to set everything off because it sounds like we're not running. If that's what I'm gathering from that you said.
just
Listen,
come on.
listen to me. If you want us to run, I will do that. But you don't just wishy-washy me. Okay? Scrap's going to fight unless there's a consensus that we're not fighting.
Let's fight. Here we go. Let's do it.
You fighting me or are you fighting in the game?
We're fighting.
Sir?
We're fighting the ogre. Let's go for it.
Okay, so that hits. That's an 11.
I'm actually going to re-roll that using my cheat cantrip with the gambler perk where I can re-roll 1 roll per day or per long rest. I'm going to use that to re-roll the damage.
I mean, it's a bit better. I'll say that. I mean, it is definitely better. For those of you that are unaware, that was a 2 to a 3 that you got. So, I mean, hey, it's still more than a 2. So
True, and with force damage, he is knocked back 10 feet.
it doesn't limit based off size. Is that correct?
Correct. There's no limitation based on size, or at least none that's stated.
That still strikes me as weird. If you're hitting like a Tarask, it knocks it back 10 feet. I cannot imagine that.
Doesn't say the size. I looked. I was double checking last time because I was worried about that.
Okay, so you fire a 4-start. What does this look like, essentially?
Imagine it is an enlarged green arrowhead looking thing. So it's basically looks like a green torpedo firing at it.
It fires directly into his big bulbous head. It kind of knocks his head back as he lumbers and kind of skirts back slightly into the onto the island, trudging slightly into the water nearby, but still upon the island and still up.
So I will then use my bonus action to point my fingers at him and shoot finger guns as a bonus action.
That's a hit. Okay, for 8 points of force damage.
An additional 10 feet knockback. Just kicking him
Alright.
down the field. Scrap's just like, we'll just keep him at a distance.
Okay. If we're keeping them at a distance, in that case, are you going to want to run and gun because you've knocked him far away enough where in order for me to engage, I would be stepped up and close to both of them? So at this point, since he's so far back, this could be a point, since you're knocking him, your action could be running. I don't think dashing could be an action, and your bonus action is finger gun. Does finger gun push away?
Yeah, because it's force damage if it hits.
Okay, then we've got a unique head start here, because we started with fighting, you're pushing them away, and we could start running, and your finger gun could keep them away from us.
That's my hope.
Okay, because I don't wanna run up on them and get into a scrap down, a throwdown with them. So let's say we're looking to go forward and around them here. Do we want to try and, if you can see, I'm sorry, since it's not the visual medium here.
Around the
Um,
outside, yeah.
yeah, and then that's 60 feet right there for my dashing. I'm gonna start heading that way. If since you can see it, we're gonna be going up into the middle of the island and then hopping or kind of going to that little outskirt over there as my 60-foot movement.
Right.
What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, hopefully we can try to outrun them and maybe.
Running
Well,
out gun.
okay, run and gun. I'm going to use the dash action and ask the DM if the direction I'm going is perfect or good to
Sure.
go.
And so for those of those that are listening, how are you, like you're basically just telling again, describing what you're doing, because what
Right.
you're going to be doing.
What I'm going to be doing, Benjamin kind of steals his shoulders as he watches the ogre get pushed back, and he's going to start to dash and try to make his way around the ogres, and hopefully they'll be stunned enough to find it too much of a hassle to chase down the non-meaty combatants they just came across that are running away. And so I'm going to go and dash and try to see if we can outrun them.
Do you say anything when you start running?
Ah!
Are you
He's not saying
communicating?
anything.
Because you're-
To scrap.
Right.
Keep firing. We should run. We gotta run.
Okay.
And then yeah, he tells Scrap, this way, as he points out where he's running, and begins to dash, kind of beckoning to her. Before I dash, Scrap, how large are you? Are you small?
I'm small.
If the DM permits, am I able to pick Scrap up with me while I'm dashing?
So you're trying to retroactively say that you pick her up while you're when you go to dash.
Right. I want to see if I'm able to pick her up and dash, and because I did begin to move.
Probably you should have said that beforehand. So,
Okay, then we'll leave it as it is.
Okay. Is that all you'd like to do, Benjamin?
Yes.
It is the ogre's turn. So red sackcloth ogre, he raises his club and shaking his head, his jowls moving in that of a boss NASA movement, begins to rush forward at you, Scrap. He raises his giant war club up and he slams it down. That is a 25 to hit.
That hits.
For 10 points of bludgeoning damage. Kind of slams you directly into the root of the tree as he gives out a bellowing roar. Scrap. It is your turn.
She kind of gets knocked into the tree. The wind knocked out. She's like, okay, like that wasn't funny. There's really no way I can run. That's not going to provoke an attack of opportunity at this point. I'm going to cast Mage Hand as my action. And I'm going to use my bonus action to punch. Because if I do that, I can still move. Because anything I do right now would be at a disadvantage. And I'm afraid of the. You know what? I'm going to force start him. Just because I have the opportunity then to use Finger Guns to push him back a little farther. But even though I'm rolling with disadvantage, I'm still going to use a die of fate to try to turn the tide a little bit.
How many dies of fate do I have now?
You have 2, you're about to have 3.
May fate be kind.
Yeah, that's definitely a hit.
Woo-hoo. Okay, so he is now knocked back 10 feet away from me. Scrap is now going to walk.
The ogre flies back, slamming part of his shoulder into the tree as he kind of rolls over it into the other side of as he gives out a grunt of pain. And you are running, towards Benjamin.
I only have 25 feet of movement, so now I'm going to use my bonus action to use Finger Guns and try to push him back a little further if I can.
Oh, thank God.
That hits with an 11.
I'm not doing great on the damage, but I'll take that.
Okay, you raise your finger kind of directly as you're running from, I guess assuming you're pointing at him as you're running through the swamp and fire away. A green bolt fires off directly at him. As he's still spinning from your previous force dart, as he's still spinning, he just, at the very end of his last third spin, he looks up and immediately another finger gun directly into his head as he flies back another 10 feet. his head snapping back. He's still up.
How's he looking?
Relatively okay. Benjamin.
Benjamin kneels down in his place, and I'm going to ready an action. Scrap! He yells out. Once you get to me, hop on my back, and we're going to keep going. And he kneels and gets down where he's at. I'm going to ready an action. As soon as she reaches me and hops on me, I'm going to stand up and dash with her on my back.
North the end to the swamp.
Yep, dash northeast to continue trying to get out.
All right, Scrap, as you see Benjamin kneel down, his arms outstretched, kind of beckoning you to come in his direction. You look back and you see that the ogre, it is his turn, and as he looks up, he gives his head another shake, and he gives a bellowing cry to his companion, still chowing down upon the dwarf.
Clog! Help me! Get the bony one!
Clog, the bone necklace one that you now know his name, as he has a mouthful of dwarfs, shouts over it, "Get your fucking self!"
He's eating. Don't bother him.
This other ogre, upset that his companion has rejected his need for assistance, shakes his head and begins charging after you, Scrap. Raises his giant great club, and as he comes closer, he's just plowing through the swampland like a bulldozer, tearing through various brush and small rock and boulder as he bursts through the water, spraying upon your face as he slams down his great club. That is a 13.
That hits.
Okay. All right. For 8 points of bludgeoning damage. Slams it down once more, kind of hitting directly close to your leg, causing you to spiral forward. You have not gone prone, but you have been hit by this thing, and you are finding that it is getting harder and harder to hold your breath as you're finding it. Just the pain is welling up in your joints and in your chest from the amount of damage you're being struck by this great giant. Scrap, it is your turn.
She is rough right now. She uses her bonus action first, uses finger guns to try to push him back.
It's not hit. In the fury of this situation, the confusion, you hastily try to fire, and it goes clear past his head, off into the distance of the night air of the swamp, as the pain and the frustration of the situation is causing you to become a little bit more erratic, your breath heavy as he continues to advance upon you. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I think she's
You
going to
can
try to...
disengage.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to disengage and start hobbling over your way. That concludes my turn.
Benjamin, you're still holding your action.
Since it's come back around to me, I'm going to go ahead and dash and get to Scrap. It's probably going to be an action for me to get her on my back. Yeah?
Yeah, because you're interacting with something directly that is different.
Okay. I'm going to use my movement, and he turns around. Come on, hop on.
She just nods and starts to clamber up.
And almost like a piggyback nature, like he has her just kind of hold on as he stands back up.
You take her upon your back and holding her arms. Scrap, I'm assuming you're wrapping around his neck so you can hold on tight, interlocking your hands as he supports you, water kicking up as he makes those essentially awkward movements to lift foot after foot out of the not out of the shallows to kind of charge through the swamplands. It's now the ogre's turn.
Hang on tight, Miss Scrap. Hang on tight.
Seeing you run, he is going to dash. And he arrives directly in front of you. He is unable to do anything as he is basically just charges through. He lumbers over the hill, gives a slight jump, and it's almost graceful and disgusting at the same point of seeing a giant, massive, flabby creature. Their flat folds billowing in the wind as they land down upon the ground with a shudder, and dirt kicks up around their feet as they rush towards you. Next is Scrap.
I'm kind of wrapped around one arm around Benjamin's neck. With the opposing hand, I turn, point finger guns, and fire at the ogre behind us.
Does not hit. You are awkwardly trying to find a good angle while you're aiming with your fingers, firing away. Another burst fires off, missing completely, going past his great club and spattering up against that of the hill behind you, setting up a shower of dirt.
Is he directly on top of us if I tried to move away It would be an attack of opportunity.
Yep.
Got it.
I still had my one action. That was my bonus.
Oh,
Okay, go
apologies.
for it.
I always
Sorry,
forget. Sorry. Hang up.
No, I should. Sorry, I should have specified. I'm gonna try, even with disadvantage, to use 4 starts on him just to push him back
That hits for 9 points.
10 feet back.
He's looking a bit bloody right now. He flies back up against the hill and smashes up against it, dirt showering over his form as you're seeing blood continue to start drip from his mouth as he gives a shake and growls, exposing his giant teeth. Benjamin, he is now no longer on top of you.
Nice shot, Miss Scrap. Hang on tight. We're gonna still get out of here. And he's gonna use his action to continue to dash away northeast. And my dash is 60 feet.
All right.
So I'm just gonna go up and away. Yep. So I'm gonna continue to dash with Scrap on my back here.
Rushing through the swamplands again, sending up kick after kick of murky water to get further and further into the northeastern swamp. Benjamin, you look over and you see the other ogre chowing down upon the dwarf. He looks at you for a moment, and he gives a small smile as he continues to kind of chew on his dwarf, as he's worked a good way through it, but then looks to the other ogre. Looks like your meal's to go, Craig. Shut up, dog. It's the ogre's turn.
Oh lordy, coming.
Craig. I just realized I named him Craig. Craig looks at his meal to go, as Clog so perfectly called it. He shakes off the dirt and starts moving a bunch of it off of his face, scouring off some of the blood that has been pooling about his jowls as he then goes over, semi-defeated, to Clog to get a remnant of the dwarf. I want some now, you should share. Fuck you, Craig. Continues to chow down on the dwarf and then proceed to fight once more as you make your way into the marshlands. You are no longer in initiative.
He continues going. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of here. We'll check on you, because he noticed that he can definitely tell that she's been battered, as he did see the hits, and he just keeps going until he can no longer hear them, and it's safe enough to set her down.
What it's worth, I'm sorry.
Are you okay? How are you? What did you break anything?
She kind of winces as she stretches. I'm sure a couple of ribs are broken at this point. I mean, I'm used to knocking them off a ship. You know, they fall in the water, they're no longer a problem. But there's no ship here. Sorry. I shouldn't have fired.
It kind of goes over his head as he starts searching his bag. Oh, I should have brought something from Dr. Honeyeater's. I didn't even look for any health potions. Do I have anything? I've got beef jerky. As he starts going through his rations. Maybe I don't have anything, as he no longer has a health potion or anything, and he's just rummaging above table. How is your health?
I have two health left.
2.
I can rub them together.
And he kneels down next to her. I'm sorry, I don't have anything.
It's fine. Maybe if we just take it easy for a minute, now that we're out of harm's way for the moment.
Okay.
maybe a
And
short
he goes to
rest at least.
find like a spot for her to lay down by a tree.
How much further are you running then? Like, how long are you still running?
I am going to run until Benjamin is very cautious. He doesn't like to fight. And he doesn't want them to be near.
Sure. Are you referencing at all the map as you blindly rush into the swamp to get away from danger?
He knows what direction was basically northeast. He does not reference as he continues in that general direction, as he just wants to get her away.
It's a straight survival check.
15. And he's gonna, without asking, he's gonna kind of swoop her back up and then keep going.
Scrap, you bob up and down on the back of Benjamin. Honestly, it's kind of surprising given his outward appearance of his strength. Right? You've always seen him as kind of a thin, bony individual. In so many words, even as you bounce up and down on his back, as you rush through that of the swamplands. It becomes apparently clear to you that your explanation for fighting on a ship and fighting in a swamp is completely different. And you have found yourself a little bit humbled a bit. Benjamin, as you continue charging through the swamp, is there anything else going through your mind right now?
He's kind of talking to himself. We're gonna find a spot so you can lay down, and then I'm gonna watch and make sure you're okay while you rest. Uh, we can get you feeling better a little bit as he's kind of rambling and looking for a spot, an alcove, some sort of covering that he can kind of set her down. As he just she's alive and she's gonna stay that way, and he's gonna make sure.
I need to roll then. For about an hour, you are charging through the swamp. The light is dim. It is nighttime at this point. That of the moon is your only true light, and also the dim, far off light of the Eastern Light Tower that illuminates kind of off in the distance, and it's sort of like a strange, almost always present sunset of like a dim, pale light. It creates an eerie sensation as you make your way through the swamplands. Still, the sounds of crickets chirping and frogs bellowing, and the sloshing of water as Benjamin as you charge through the swamp. Eventually, you arrive to what appears to be a small clearing with a river directly in front of you, or rather, a connection of a river towards the end of the swamplands. It's not directly associated with any major bog, but yeah, you arrive towards there, and Scrap, you would notice this over across kind of a middle island area across this river, this murky river connected to the swamp, is a small island that is connected to a larger part of the swamp. And you see that there are two small tents, a makeshift campground, it looks like, upon this island.
Imagine she's got her arm still wrapped around his neck. She's like, hey, hey, hey. Starts like tapping on his probably protruding collarbone. Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
There's tents over there. Somebody's made camp out here. Do we see any evidence of smoke or campfire that's lit?
You would have seen any kind of light. I don't think you even make a perception check. You would have seen the light of a campfire lit from this distance.
And there is none.
But there is none. Sorry.
Oh,
I should say that.
Phew. I can't really see that well. You're gonna have to tell me which direction to go for the camp, for the tents. Let's get over there and check it out. And kind of has her guide him over to where the tents are.
Imagine she's walking a little gingerly, but she starts slowly kind of heading that way towards the camp. Probably trying to keep quiet.
Do you have any light?
Pulls the dagger back out, taps the blade again so that it kind of exudes a pale, I would say, it's how late at night, do you think?
So you left at, I want to say 5, and you were lost for, what was it? I think it was 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're
So it's
running for one, so okay.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess she'd make the light red then, just because it's easier to. It's less harsh on the eyes in dim light.
You take your dagger out and tap it, creating that reddish glow, illuminating the way to that of the tents, the small campground. As you get closer, you're able to see that there is no evidence of a fire. There is 2 tents, and you see that there is actually a small rowboat directly beached at what looks to be a makeshift pier of some sort.
Now we're talking. She starts hobbling towards the rowboat, and she takes a look. Does it appear in sound working condition?
Do you have any kind of proficiency regarding boats? Okay.
Yes, she's proficient in water vehicles.
Do you know how to boat?
Yes, the pirate knows how to boat. So what kind of check would that be? Just to check the soundness.
For what I'm getting from your skill, it's just you're just proficient, right? So I think you just roll with your proficiency bonus. So just roll a d20 with a proficiency bonus.
Quietly cries and tries to remember how to do this in this program.
There are also physical dice that exist in the real life, the real people.
Well, I don't know. I want to make
Unplugged
sure.
from the Matrix.
Listen, I have a pile of clickety clackities over here, but I understand integrity-wise. If you'd rather roll on,
Clickety clackities.
If you want to roll, like, I'm gonna trust you on this. So just
okay, it was an 8, so plus proficiency bonus, which is 2, it would be 10. Or no, do I roll? No, I don't roll with advantage, just proficiency. Sorry.
it is in working order. I would say even as you are looking upon the boat, you see that there was evidence of another boat that used to be here as well, another rowboat.
How does it look?
It looks great. There's one missing, but this one seems good. She kind of shakes it a little bit on the water, causing ripple. And I assume, are there oars with it?
Yes, there are oars with it.
This is excellent. But wonder who would leave this behind. She starts kind of looking towards the tents.
Hello? Anyone there? He says just out loud.
Just you yell out of in the clearing.
Yep.
Anyone there? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you yell that out, and you don't hear anything. The tent flaps are closed.
Are we able to make it across the little way onto the island? Across there's a little bit of water in between the pathway to that island there.
It's not terribly deep. So with my logic when it comes to most swampland is in general is like it's at least a few feet deep. As far as like maybe 4 feet or something like that, you can easily get through that, like wade your way across or swim slightly across. The purpose of a rowboat and other boats like that with like a guiding pole is to get through certain areas, right? So yeah, you're able to get across that island. So
He goes up to one of the tents. Hello? Is anyone sleeping in here? We're not enemies.
you do not hear anything
He peeks his head in and tries to move one of the flaps and looks in.
as you pull the flap back. You see nothing.
There's no.
How
He's
dare
like,
you?
there's no. He says over his shoulder. There's no one in this one. And he goes and looks over at the second one and pulls a flap aside. Sorry, and again he uses his hand to pull back.
The
There's
violin.
fully going up.
Yeah, the violin begins to play faster and faster and faster. Nothing.
They're both empty.
Scrap comes over. Well, maybe they left some goodies behind. I just do a walkthrough of the campsite with my glowing knife to see what's going on.
Sure. So as you look about the camp, you find that there are, upon the ground, there are remnants of glass and clay bottles. And given both of your experiences with alchemical supplies, you find that these at one point probably contained some type of chemical supplies. What is see your passive investigation for the pair of you, actually? Because I think you guys would just see this.
10 for me.
9 for me.
Yeah, so actually, Benjamin, you would see this then directly. There is a bit of parchment that is in the fire, like the campfire area, that is burned.
Let's see. What is this? He bends down and picks it up.
As you pick it up, you see that it's the parchment of the remnants of a map burned, and has a last bit of a detailed bit of what appears to be a parapet, kind of a direct tower, essentially, and on the remnant of a word that says Alnor.
This looks like that this was a map for maybe Castle Relnor, maybe. And he shows it to Scrap.
And we did suspect there was somebody running around out there causing trouble. Can we tell how fresh this camp is based on the fire that's burned down? Like, does it still have the smell of smoke? Like it's fresh, or
You would get the reasoning that this was a camp that had only a few hours ago had been broken down.
there's at least 2 of them, potentially. Looking around, are there any footprints in this campsite?
Give me a survival check to look for footprints.
For that one?
Mud. There's mud and doit and stuff on the ground. Mud and
That's-
doit.
That's dirt. That's dirt right there.
Were you like bending over to take a look?
Yeah, I imagine she
You've been
would.
beaten up. You've been beaten up.
Oh yeah, she's got one hand that's like permanently wrapped around her rib cage as she's kind of hobbling around camp.
Miss Scrap, you need to rest. And he
I'm fine, and it's scrap. Gonna just tattoo it on my forehead. Scrap.
he goes while she's saying that. Here, and he holds open the flap of the tent.
I mean, if they're going to Castle Realmlord, do you think it's safe to hang out in a place like this? Honestly,
You need to rest.
kind of huffs, and she's like, "Fine. You keep watch, would you? I don't want any toads sneaking up on us in the night."
No one's sneaking up on us. I'm gonna keep a really sharp eye out. I've got you, Miss Scrap.
All right. She hands the lit dagger to him. She's like, "Good luck." And she lays down, curling up on whatever bed rolls in there.
He goes and grabs this. There's a barrel next to the or a crate. Not quite sure which. Is this a big, heavy crate or something? Barrel?
Yeah, it's a fairly decently sized barrel. Yeah,
He's gonna.
but
If I'm able to scooch it kind of closer to the fire, and so I'm able to kind of, and he's almost as if he is on an actual swivel. He will go ahead and keep very close watch, no sleep. He's just gonna sit here and watch over, making sure that she gets rest.
Okay.
Before she falls to bed, she's like, "Do you want me to light the fire? Is there any good wood in there? I can burn it up."
No, no. I don't want us to call any attention to us. I've got the light, and he kind of holds it closer to his chest, so it's not emanating quite as wide as radius because he doesn't really want people to see. If he needs to see, he'll hold it aloft, but at the moment he's holding it close to the chest. So it's almost as if like how you would put a flashlight under a blanket. It's just a kind of a red illumination. And he just keeps it like that soft red light.
You're a professional scoocher, right? So if you scooch something that you're going to know there's something in there that you're scooching. Yeah? Because as you're scooching it, you're hearing glass move about in the barrel. You have to tell me you're a professional scoocher, please.
Yes, I'm a professional scoocher.
Okay. With your scooching past, you're able to know that there is glass in this barrel.
Before he sits on it, he checks to see if there's a lid that he can lift to take a look inside, as he's curious.
You're able to find a bit of a groove in the lid, and you're able to pop it off. And as you do so, you see there are a number of glass bottles with inside. The funny thing is, though, as you look at these glass bottles, they are of varying shade and of colors and consistency. Most of them, however, are a deep black. With a passive investigation of 10, you would notice, and you know what? I want you to roll me a d4. You find 2 potions of healing.
Oh, perfect.
Amidst all the black bottles.
Above table, after you do your short rest with your hit die, one of you're getting one.
If only any of you could see the aggressive look that Collin was given towards Amanda of just, you're getting my health potion.
Gritted teeth, wild eyes.
Yeah, you might get both. Yeah, who knows? I'm in mom mode right now. You're getting your veggies, you're
Mama
getting
bones.
your Wheaties. So yeah, Mama Bones is activated right now. As he pockets the 2 health potions, he very curiously looks at the black substance and picks up one of the vessels that contains it and shifts it to see how viscous or thin this liquid is.
So you notice that as you move it about, it has almost the same kind of iridescence associated with what's the roll for?
Oh, sorry, it's for my health to get back to my hit die.
I thought like it was gonna explode.
I'm so
on
sorry.
It begins to vibrate in your hand.
Oh God! I'm sorry. I throw it.
Kind of made a noise. I was just trying to quietly get my health back.
Sorry. It was not probably picked up on the for anyone else who's listening, but essentially we're playing with Foundry, and so whenever you roll a dice, it does a little click clack noise. And it's kind of turned to a situation where we've all been Pavlovianically conditioned that anytime we hear that noise from anybody, it's a little bit of a cause for anyone to just simply tighten their gut
Blood
and eyes
pressure
go
spike.
Oh man,
Sorry.
anxiety spike. I'm so happy that it was just health related. So nice. Great.
But Benjamin, you notice that it has kind of the same iridescent quality associated with the sludge that you had found at that one area, the one with the swamp apples of that tar pit.
As it's the same consistency as the tar, the fiery tar.
That's what you can get from this, yes.
Interesting. I wonder if they're studying the liquid to see if it has anything to do with the miasma. And is it all of the rest of the bottles in there that same liquid, or are there other types?
So if you want to look further into it, you can give me an investigation check.
He looks up and looks around. He looks for a giant toad specifically.
All right, for advantage, I'll give you if you're only looking for toads. If you're doing that for advantage,
And I feel like he would feel like another one is sneaking up on him. So I'm gonna look for another giant toad.
Okay, it's only for toads. So
Yeah.
That's a 14. But here's the thing: you got a crit failure.
That was with an advantage.
Yeah, for just toads. Just remember,
Okay.
just toads.
Phew.
Okay.
That was
The
14. It was a 14 though.
Yeah.
Oh,
The lich behind you, though. No.
Oh God. The lich. What is this? What swamp is this?
You're only looking for toads.
Okay.
Heading towards like an ancient castle.
But as you're shifting through that of the glass bottles of various smoked quality and everything, as far as smoky, murky glass, you find a majority of these are that iridescent black sludge. Some of them are empty, and some are remnants of health potions. You notice as well, like a little bit of red at the bottom, kind of like a sheen to it. But majority of these are those black iridescent sludge bottles.
How many? Sorry, also to go granular again. How many of the emptied health potions were there?
This is a big barrel.
I'm
you're-
okay.
Yeah, you're sifting through it essentially, and you're noticing this. I would just say that's the thing.
Okay, I'll carefully replace the lid as to stop shifting glass bottles on top of each other, clinking and clanking. Just because I'm purely curious, he'll quietly walk over and kind of look at the other one as well.
You pry that open, and as you do so, you notice that there are a large amount of those bottles with black sludge within them.
And is there any other types of potions or bottles?
Give me a D2, like just do a roll.
D4, 1 is 1 and 2, 2 is 3 and 4.
Sure, we'll do that.
1.
You find one additional potion of healing.
He also adds that.
Mazel tov.
He sighs in relief. Oh, there it looks to be a smaller wooden structure next to the barrel here. One maybe looking like a piece of luggage, if that's there.
You recognize that as a rain catch.
Yeah, it should be clean. So I reach into my backpack, pull up my water skin, which is the kind of a water skin canteen. It can hold up to 4 pints of liquid. I gently dip it into the rain catch and begin to fill the water skin. And just as a quick test, he kind of tilts back and takes a sip to see if it's how the rainwater is.
It's a distinctive taste that you know when you get up in the middle of the night, you go to the bathroom, not the kitchen, the bathroom.
Yep.
And you get water. you get water from that faucet. It's got a weird taste to it, but it's so much better than the kitchen water for some reason.
Yes, I know exactly that. He takes a second sip, sighs a little bit, and just refills it back to full, caps it, stores it away, and then he's going to remain vigilant back at his post and sits and stays at watch.
Okay, so are you only doing a short rest, you guys, or what are you doing here?
Amanda,
Hold on,
are
so
you using
long
some hit
rest-
dice?
Long rest is 8 hours.
Because it is super late at night.
We were lost for 4 hours, ran for an hour.
It's 10 p.m.
It is 10.
It'll be sun.
It
could
would be
come
6. Yeah, it could be 6 in the morning if we do a full long rest.
That would work.
And I would
can
get the Die of Fate away from the
Do I
DM.
lose my dice of fate?
Yes.
Take a short rest, guys. I mean, you can do it. You just,
A long rest would probably be in our best interest, don't you? Just such
Yes.
a harrowing ogre ordeal.
Yeah, sure.
Benjamin will stay vigilant.
Here's the thing. If you do this, then Benjamin, are you the only one that's going to be resting the entire? You guys going to be doing shifts? Because then you would not gain the benefit of a long rest, Benjamin, if you're the only one doing.
Would I become exhausted?
I don't. Let me see here. I don't believe you would get. I am seeing here. Yes, there is actually something for doing this. Xanathar's has a rule for if you go without a long rest, you have to make a con save or you take exhaustion.
All right.
If you don't want to take the risk, I'm fine just using more hit dice.
Uh,
Well, the way it works, so if you take turns, the basic premise of it is that as long as you're taking shifts, you gain the benefit of a long rest.
Okay.
If someone does 2 hours looking, which means you do perception checks, then another person does 2 hours, another person 2 hours, et cetera, until you get a full long rest. So,
Okay.
okay,
Then, yeah,
then that
trade
sounds like
shifts
the
then.
okay. In a couple of hours, I'll.
would you rather do that then?
Yeah, that sounds like a
Yes,
better
sir.
idea. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
please.
So then give me active perception check, then Benjamin, for the first 2 hours shift. I actually, really quick, just for the sake of storytelling, then tell me how you guys are coming to this decision together.
Miss Scrap.
That's just she kind of pokes her head out. One side of her face fluff is kind of messed up because she's been laying down. Yes.
Ah.
What?
Here, and he hands her 2 of the potions. You could take these, and I'm gonna get some sleep after you get some sleep. So you sleep a little bit, and I'm gonna keep watch. But it is kind of late, and I'm kind of tired as well. So you get some sleep, and then let's trade on and off. Yeah.
Ew. She just immediately falls backwards into the tent. Imagine her tail is kind of sticking out the flap, just kind of hanging there.
You now have two, and I've got the other one. And he goes back to his sitting post.
Okay, give me a perception check, please.
10.
Here, fine.
2 hours go by without any incident, and you are able to end your shift and go wake up Miss Scrap.
Yeah,
The DM doing it now.
no!
I fell for the trap. Conditioned like so many dogs.
I love it. Every time she tries to correct me, it still just goes. He calls everybody Miss and Mister.
You wake up Scrap, and Scrap, you're gonna have to give me a perception check, please.
Alright. 9, not great.
For the 2 hours that you do your rest of, or your watch, Scrap. You hear the odd caw of a raven, chirp of several crickets, but other than that, nothing happens.
Whatever, it's a rave.
I was gonna say, does the caw sound familiar? Like any sort of vocal intonation I've heard before?
It's a raven. Like if you want to roll, sure. Like it's a raven.
I'll skip it for now.
For the sake of this, I'd say just because we can just kind of speed this up a little bit as far as the rest goes. I would just have one additional check from each of you. So quickly, Benjamin, do yours, and then
Got it.
Scrap will do yours.
13 for my additional perception check.
4.
On your respective watches for the rest of the evening, there is no event that occurs. There is simply that of the general sensations associated with that of the night air of Stillwake Marsh, the magical miasma about you, creating a thick fog and a kind of a bit of a soft dew in the morning as you awaken. It is now about 6 in the morning. Yeah, you're upon an island that has 2 tents and a campfire with a boat.
You feeling better?
She stretches much better.
How does your new gills feel?
My new neck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. She kind of stretches side to side. I don't even feel it anymore. I mean, it's still weird, but it's not hurting at least. How was your watch?
It was quiet. I'm glad nobody came by. And I'm glad we were able to find, and he pats the one health potion he's got. I'm glad we were able to find these.
Yeah, me too. Wonder what that ogre meant by snake men. Glad I didn't hear any hissing, but still, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
It is.
Have you run into anything like that at Cluster Rock?
He cups his chin and thinks about it as a 5 on a history check.
Most of the people that you have interacted with in Cluster Rock have been predominantly gnomes, humans, half-elves, dwarves. Snakemen is not something that sounds familiar to you, nor is it something that you feel is something you would come in contact with, really, in the Stillwake Marsh.
I haven't heard anything like that. He shrugs.
I also do a history check, see if I recall anything about them in the region or in general.
You also, with a 3, I have to make sure I'm saying this, with a 3, nope, you are unaware of any kind of snakemen. Here's the thing. I would say because of your experience being in the port of Ilse, give me one more.
Are you serious right now?
It has been amazing. Oh, this is
I'm so tired of these not once.
It was a nat one, another nat one. My goodness, I want to know at this point, like how many nat ones has it been?
I'm gonna start
it's
keeping a
been
tally.
almost. I think it's almost over 5 at this point.
Oh
Yes!
my
Yes!
good lord! Keep the home game. Take a shot, everybody.
I would die. I would die if I tried that. Oh.
No, I just know there's nothing about snakemen that occurs to you at this point. No.
Oh man!
Glad I couldn't remember. It's early morning. Don't have my coffee yet. I think
Glad you're feeling better.
me too. I think we should take the boat in instead of
Uh,
hoofing it through these marshes. I think the boat would be a better way to navigate through the muck, right? No sense
yeah.
tripping over dead dwarves and gators.
He nods up and down. Yeah, I bet you'll be able to kind of navigate northeast. Then he looks out in that direction, and does it look like that the river follows a path northeast?
From just a general look, you do see that it is a basic, it's just kind of a basic journey through the swamp, right? Like you could potentially find a pathway through there.
Um. Okay, let's do it.
Let's go. She seems almost giddy, excited at the idea of jumping back into a boat again. She gets in and feels the way it kind of rocks on the water. She's like, "Oh, yeah, this is the life."
Benjamin knows nothing about ships, or the pirate life. And he asks, is this the type of boats that you would normally use?
No, not unless it was sinking. But no, I was aboard the illustrious Mad Mammoth. That was a massive ship, very sturdy and not like a dinghy. And she's kind of looking around, still trying to be upbeat, but it's quite a fall from grace, I guess.
He kind of tilts his head as he doesn't really have a frame of reference for massive. And how big?
Think of the office where we went to go buy the maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the captain's bedroom on the Mad Mammoth. It's
Oh,
like a whole building on the water.
whoa! So you could live on it.
Oh yeah, we lived for a long time, just floating around between the Shattered Isles. Spent time in Ilsea. It was a good life,
I assume as we're talking, we're also kind of pushing it.
traversing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for this, you just both of you would give me. So you've got the map, Benjamin, right?
Right.
And you also have the bit of paper, correct?
The bit of paper that had Alnor, that was the rest was kind of burnt. Yes.
And a bit of, yeah, okay. Both of your proficiencies associated with that of survival. The pair of you can make both advantaged survival checks.
That is a 17 for me.
14 for me.
As you're traversing, yes, you're finding your way further to the swamp. Occasionally, Benjamin, you're pointing at the map, and Scrap, you're able to use the oars to maneuver through that of the swamplands as you're traversing, finding a decent path through that of the murky waters.
He continually asks about the Mad Mammoth, just getting more info about the pirate life.
I mean, it was good. If you had a good cook, it was even better. You know, especially if there were lots of other ships around, prime for picking. But yeah, it was a good life. Why? It was the small city of what was it? Small town? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, that's yeah, small town. Um,
Yeah, small. Small
would
something. Anyway.
I'm trying to think if Benjamin had been in a boat, if merely to help carry fish or things off of the boat. Would that be safe to say that he hasn't really been on a boat ride because he wouldn't have left the port, but he's maybe stepped on to help carry items off of it?
Given the amount of quarantine and associated travel visas with people that are infected in that of Cluster Rock, only a fair small few can go and leave fully a boat. They usually have to have a dwarven animated armor on the boat as well, or an attaché to allow them to go up the Continental Divide channel, which is really treacherous. There's some base fishing in the bay, essentially, but there's not a. You probably wouldn't have gone further into the channel, nor would you have gone further out to sea. It'd probably just be in the bay itself that you would have done any kind of fishing. So not big ships, most likely.
So this is, I guess, probably the first time he's ever had some form of long form boat ride. So he's not getting sick, not seasick from what he could tell. Yeah. You also said you dumped guys off of the boat.
Yeah, I'm not very good at fighting, obviously, and she gestures to herself. Mostly they sent me in the back. If anybody was roughing anybody up, I just boom, shoot them off the side. They go going in the drink, and I'd make sure to take out any sentries. Kept them out of danger, kept them from having to be run through with a sword. Win-win, I guess. Well, other than we got all their money.
She's watching with
Wide eyes.
wide open eyes, just like listening. Have you always been able to do the? And he makes the same motion you do with the finger gun. Have you always been able to do that?
No, not always. Actually, it's kind of a funny story. First time I ever took out a ship, they took me on my first raid. I think it was 12. They bring us to this ship on the water. They doused all the lights. We were sneaking up on it in the dark. And I see up in the crow's nest, there's this fugly parrot that's up there, big, bright red feathers. It was going to sound the alarm. So I threw a dagger, knocked it out. We were able to get control of the ship before anybody woke up. And because it was my first run, and I took out the parrot, they gave me first pick of the litter as far as the big treasure trove was concerned. So I go diving in there. I pull out a big, dusty book. I can't read, or at least I couldn't at that point. But I remember my aunt used to read a lot. So I had to pick it. And it turned out to be a spell book. Pirates taught me how to read. So I learned to read and do magic at the same time. So it's kind of second nature to me. She kind of twiddles her fingers a little bit, that green glow going around.
If you had looked at Benjamin and saw how he was listening, you would have thought that he was a kid listening to the coolest story ever, as he's leaned forward, locked in,
Oh, she knows.
as yeah,
Just kind of
just
lean
listening.
back, just, yeah, well, that's why I'm so dangerous and
Wow,
feared in the Shattered Isles.
so cool, Miss Scrap. Man, I've never gone through anything quite as exciting like that. I wish I could have been a pirate.
Oh, you think you would have done well as a pirate? Not
Uh,
much fat, you'd sink if you fell overboard.
oh well, maybe I'd float a little. As he kind of looks at his baggy clothes and continues just looking at the map while they're traveling.
It takes some time for you to navigate through that of the swamp. But with the added teamwork of Scrap's proficiency with naval expertise and that of Benjamin able to read the strange scrawlings of Gapos and Davin's map, you eventually arrive to essentially a silhouette coming out of the fog, the mist of that of the Stillwake Marsh. You look up at what appears to be several towers leaning in various strange angles, held up by it looks to be lashings of rope and moss just directly covered all over the sides of these towers. It's a complete ruin of a building. Still, even though falling apart, fairly massive. And as you come closer and closer, you find that the swamp itself goes directly through into that of the main doors that connect into the castle that you found that is now, you now realize, is Castle Ralnor, at least the remnants of it. And as your boat skirches straight up towards the doors, it gives a slight scrape against the stone upon the floor as you gaze into the darkness of the castle. Adventure waiting. We are in the discussion phase, discussing about what previously happened, of what just happened. So, thoughts?
This is we're gonna have we're gonna have a rolling record. We're gonna start it here. 4 nat ones is the current high score.
I thought it was 5.
No, it's 5.
It was 5.
At least 5. Yeah.
Okay, one,
Because
two,
I had 3 just within the first, I think,
three.
session or 2.
Oh, I meant for like in a single sitting.
You had the dual nat ones, so that was
I
fun.
cannot believe that happened.
That was hilarious. I'm
Absolute.
sorry, that's funny.
Oh,
We got to go with a high
I
score,
am
starting
believing
with I
this
think
one.
5. You said, yeah, it was 5. So that's our current high score for the session. And if
Not
we
a
get
high
more than
score.
that, if I got to put a positive spin on it, or else I'm gonna weep. It only
Our
adds to the
stats can't
suspense.
handle that. We can't.
So,
Exciting, very
yeah.
very nerve wracking. I was
Oh,
worried that those ogres were just gonna pound us into
waffle
paste.
stomp us. Yeah.
When it comes to these situations when it involves any kind of perils associated with that of what you want to roll for your players, it's a mixture. Especially for me, I've got a table and other things. If I remember correctly, you got a pretty bad roll, Colin, for your map check, right?
Yes,
Because
early on in the very beginning there, that was pretty terrible. I think it was a 3 and then a 4 with or like something
Yeah.
or something low like that in the beginning.
But that kind of contributed to it a little bit. And I was situations also when it comes to whenever you're DMing, I feel is that my mentality is I never want to kill the players. But at the same time, I don't want a baby at the same time. I don't want a baby either. Um, so it's a
You're not
matter of
out for good. So,
right. I'm not out for blood, but there's only so many times you could be like, all right, well, I guess okay. There's you can't really avoid that forever. I was actually interested that you guys didn't bother to check for any general stores or anything like that before you left. I was for any kind of supplies or
I mean, I honestly we don't have that much. I don't have that much gold on me to afford any potions. I
I mean,
had
you gotta try.
I guess
Stolen.
haggled with the 5 gold. I can you give me a health potion for 10 silver? Oh wait, I've
mean-
got 6 silver. We could.
I mean, I don't want to overexert the bad reputation, but could have tried to, crack some doors open and for the good
Steal.
of the people. Whatever. It's not beyond a pirate's pay grade.
It
Yeah,
sounds
I just
it sounds
genuinely
kind of
did not
funny
think
if
about
you're
that.
cracking down doors and they're like they recognize me and they're like Benjamin. I'm like, hey, she's just gonna do her thing.
She's just gonna rob you. Have a nice day.
I'll see you. I'll see you later.
Don't make a fuss about it.
Is there anything in particular you feel about the session that was particularly interesting, or things that you were curious on, or even just were the things that you wanted to know more about, whether about what's going on or also just about each other?
Honestly, the snakeman bit that we overheard was interesting. And it's not like they would have been very good conversationalists to keep from eating us to kind of get some more info from them. I kind of want to look into that. Maybe if they saw like actual snake people or snakes that have turned into something else due to the magical miasma, that's definitely a line of a thread that we might want to pull at some point.
I am curious, not only about the snake men, but just in general for this session. I wanted to see more about maybe the dwarf had something on him to see why he's running around out there. Are we going to meet Craig and Clog again? Because they seem to be denizens of the area if they knew about the clankers and whatnot. Too afraid of dying from my stupid actions to mull that over very much.
Yeah, you chose death that day.
Oh, I was looking at it, I was like, "Okay, I can't I have horrific intimidation and deception." I thought, "Okay, I suppose we coulda just run," but I thought maybe push him back, keep going, but
That is something I always want to try. I would say to anyone that ever is a DMing or anything like that, or anyone that's playing, is that you don't always need to meet every single encounter that you get. As far as, and this is not meant to be coaching to either of you. This is more so just in general, because I fall into the same pit trap. Is that there's this mentality that we have where we kind of gamify it, right? Where we go,
Mhm.
well, appeared before me, so I have to kill these things or I have to do this. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to kill them or even talk to them. There are some instances where you can just try to avoid or run, especially if things are getting bad. So I would recommend, if is there ever any situation, especially in D&D or Pathfinder or something like that, if it ever gets to a situation where you feel this is not going well, there is no shame at all in trying to run. I would say there is, because I mean, these are your characters. You can make those decisions to prolong their longevity. You can make the character decision that, hey, I would be my character would stay here and fight to the death. But just remember, there is always options associated with these games. So
Absolutely. I felt like I leaned a little. I leaned a little hard into Benjamin's trait to not really like fighting
Mhm.
and to tend to run.
you
But
were looking a little salty there.
oh
Oh,
man,
I was
it
like, "Oh,
was
he's gonna get off this call, he's never gonna talk to me again."
it was vaguely reminiscent of another game that I play with Amanda where she had also fired upon something that didn't need to be fired upon, and that one turned out a little bit differently. In a different game in a different universe.
What is this? What is this referring to?
When we had been in an alleyway and we had seen a vampire spawn
Oh, right.
feasting
Yeah.
upon
Yeah.
feasting upon somebody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Amanda's character decided to shoot it in the back to alert it to where we were. and it ended up downing me, and I gave them my last 2 health
It
potions so
didn't
they
just
could get
down
away.
you. It just downed you. I'm pretty sure at one point, all 3 of us had gone down.
Yes.
I was actually very appreciative that I had a counter for reinforcements on that because you all would have just flat out died in that
So
instance.
yeah, this was very reminiscent of that, but I was glad I was able to actually that you're small enough to hop on my back so I
No.
could rush out of there.
You
Uh,
know, I was in need of another reason to lie awake at night, and I had almost got over the last one, so now I appreciate
This
that I
this
have a
is
new one in the chamber.
this is
Huh.
another thing also to kind of bring up in these kind of decisions when it comes to role playing games is to always remember that these are games. Obviously, you want to respect other players' decisions and try to kind of coincide with them as best as you can, but always remember that you're trying to build a story, right? You're trying to build a story together. There are people are going to make decisions because we are all human that you do not agree with, and that's fine. Just remember to approach the conversation as adults, and just reason that, like, hey, in so many polite words, what the fuck, but also,
Respectfully, who raised you?
Yes. Who hurt you?
Well, that's why
I
I was trying to get any sort of course, by that point, I'm sure you were far beyond into frustrated territory, but I'm like, "Give me guidance," because I realized as soon as it fired, I was like, "No, I have made an egregious mistake."
at least you got to see Benjamin's caretaker side. That's what he's all about.
So sorry to kind of also bring it back to the backstory bits, sort of flashbacks. That was kind of in some ways
As a
that was a last minute decision, honestly. How did you feel about that? I feel bad for putting you on the spot, Colin, of just all right, name this character that you are connected with, because I basically didn't want to do the situation of like any kind of video game, right? Where it's like, here is the princess that you are in love with, or here is the guy that you want to save. So I felt terrible. How did that feel for that? Did it feel too forced for either of you? Did it feel genuine or
I actually kind of enjoyed it. I
Mhm,
liked
okay?
having to kind of I liked adding Jorik to my backstory of someone that I had come across before,
Mm,
as that really helps kind of round it out in terms of round out more information for the backstory of someone that I might have helped in the past, and help it be a driving force for me to want to learn more from Dr. Honeyeater. So
okay.
I definitely liked it. I will admit I did just quickly type in gnome male
Nay.
names, and I just was like, oh, I can't think. I can't lie. The first name I thought it was Larry, and it's a terrible gnome name. So
Lawrence.
think
Lawrence the gnome. Yes,
there's a
there we go.
Lawrence.
lesson there. I think it provided a nice opportunity to not only have a kind of a role play flex test in a way, it was a good opportunity to yes and into the story a little bit of how they might have handled that situation. So, and also provide kind of context of where they were versus how they might grow as a character later on. It was nice to see kind of a a flashback in a sense.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate that. I believe personally that and again this depends on the players, the games, DMs, etc. That DMs should more often at times try to actually have the players come up with a bit of their own backstory on the fly when it comes to the situations, I feel. It creates some interesting because we always have those Xanathar's tools, right, that are available to us of rolling up characters, which in many ways are ways of tools for the DM to bring upon that and to say, yeah, who is this one? You said you knew an old guy. Who is this old guy? What was his name? Like, tell me now, basically. Because not everything has to be planned out before a session or 5 sessions in advance. Sometimes it's just good to have your players be involved, I feel, just directly in the moment. That.
I do like that a lot.
All right. So with that being said, I don't know what episode number this is, but thank you for joining us on this journey for this one as we continue on. Potentially, I'm assuming the last one's going to be the next one's going to be the last one on this Plaugelands arc. If you have found this
Mhm.
interesting at all, please be sure to let us know via comments. We now have a YouTube, so there is a YouTube now. So these episodes will be out on YouTube. So feel free to visit our website at Tables and Fables Pod. Oop, I gotta bring up the stuff here because I'm an idiot. Yes, so we are on Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. On Instagram, we are at Tables and Fables Pod. Blue Sky is tablesandfablespod.bsky.social. And of course, then on our YouTube, it is going to be known as is Tables and Fables Pod. So be sure to subscribe there as well. And if you did enjoy this, be sure to give us a 5-star and to leave a comment because that does help us grow. That does help us get further and further into hopefully developing more arcs. And if you have a particular game recommendation of what you would like us to play, as far as a single RPG or anything like that, I don't want to. Again, I have something planned of what the next thing is going to be because it'll be a way we're kind of learning together. But
What is it?
I can't say right now. It's not the final episode, so I can't say it right now. Of the Plaugelands arc. But again, here's the other thing to remember too about these arcs. We can return to these characters as well and these respective areas. The whole goal of this is to build more worlds, build more stories. So that's not to say we can never come back to Scrap or Benjamin if they survive, or any other areas associated with that of the Plaugelands, Arta, Stoic Marsh, or other areas. So if you enjoy any of this, please let us know. That'll help us immensely. Anyone want to plug anything or?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to us.
All right. Well, until next time. Oh, that's right. I have a blurb I'm doing now. That's right. And what was the blurb? No matter what time it is for you, morning, evening, or night, I hope you're having a good time. Thanks, and we will not see you all, but you'll hear us all next time. Bye, everybody.
Night, everybody.
What?
Sad you didn't say be good. That's like your.
I didn't say bye-bye. I said, "Be good."
I didn't
Did
hear
say
it.
oh.
You did say be good?
I have been saying that since I was
Okay, good.
7 years old. Anytime I left the house, "Be good," as I'm closing the door.
Good. Give me one more just for the
For
for the
safety.
for the recording guys in the back.
Bye-bye. Be good.
Night, everybody.
So you get an extra sound bite of me saying, bye-bye.
I would need 3 more just like that. All right.
Just put it on a soundboard.
Beep, 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 beep.
Hello, Craig. Hi, Amanda. How's it going?
Hello, doing all right. How are you guys?
Doing really good. And
Need to.
um, so I found out something kind of cool.
Oh,
Oh,
Not terribly cool, but kind of, you know.
okay.
Um, Close my Foundry screen here. Just a kind of a cool little trick, so I'd never have to worry about this ever again.
Oh,
Um, so down at that little slot area down there,
mhm.
I found out you can just put in
Macros.
little macros. And so I decided to put in, like, so if I hit the 1 key, it rolls me a D4.
Mhm.
Or if I hit 2, it rolling great, a D6 or
Mm.
a D8. So now I don't have to type it in. I just had to put it in and add the macro. So I just went into the new macro, typed in.
Typed in, and then
disappear.
are you still talking? Or are you just demonstrating right now, or what's?
Oh my goodness, how did it mute me? I was talking the whole time. Okay, so what part did I fade out at?
Ah,
um,
you were
I
demonstrating
was
macros.
macros. I have macros that I have set up here.
Right.
And now if I ever just want to do a roll a D4, I can just hit the 1 key and it rolls it
Hmm.
for me because I let's see, hit delete. I can just go in and it says new macro on the little hotkey bar down here. And I
Mhm.
type in roll D whatever. And then I do that.
You're muted again.
How is it muting me?
I think you're hitting your hotkey for mute, whatever that is for Discord.
That's odd. Maybe when I'm typing, I think that's what it's. Oh no, it's the it's the slash button. It's the
Ah,
slash button is the mute button. So when I
right. Okay. Like there, of course.
right there. So when I hit it, okay. So I'm gonna unbind that. Uh,
Sure. I
but
I
yeah,
can
but that's
yeah.
it's a super nice, super helpful because I
Mhm.
always am like, how do I do this?
How do I
And
roll
so
a how would I roll a D20? I'm not sure. How would I roll a D20?
and look at
Oh,
that, a D100 just right there for me.
mm.
And then I
Cool.
don't have to try and type it in or remember how it's typed by doing like roll slash or slash roll, and it just puts it there. So
Did you
in
just
case
roll a 100 on a D100 just as a
that's
demonstration?
that's crazy.
Hmm.
that's a that's a 1% chance, is it not? All right, so yeah,
Cool.
just my cool little thing I found out.
That's a fun little show and tell bit. I appreciate you showing that.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab my drink. Sorry.
sure.
Mm,
No
makes
worries.
sense. So, how was your Friday?
Uh, got to the end of the day and I gotta find something. I don't know what. I gotta find something. I'm going mad. I'm going mad. And it's not even a situation now where it's even. I feel like I'm lessening that phrase by saying that, but it is a constant build. I feel of I get people from the call center basically saying, "Oh, that was wacky, right?" and doing a little silly face emoji, and I just type it back, "Yep." Just like what do you want me to don't be nudging shoulders with me even digitally. What are you doing? Like, just ugh, gosh, I'm becoming my father. As I get older and older, I am becoming my embittered embittered father about regarding people and interactions. I gotta stop. I gotta get a job change like he did. So um all right. So brief silence for a second here, and then we'll kind of go in here. So I've got some audio. It's just brief silence from audio. Okay, 3. For anyone that has not tuned into the previous 2 episodes at this point, I believe there's 2 out at this point. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiling myself by saying that, or outing myself by saying it like that for editing purposes. But if you haven't watched those, watch those. If you haven't listened to those already, I would highly recommend it so you get a sense of what's going on. I'll do kind of a brief summary, but I don't want to be revealing too much of the story. In fact, you know what? Just to put you two on the spot, you know, before I do the 2 on the spot, how have you guys been? How's your day been? How's been your week? How are things?
Things are going pretty well for me. Can't complain. It's always nice to have something to look forward to, and this has been what I've been looking forward to recently. And that's just D&D on the brain. Everything's going pretty well though.
Yeah, same here. Things are warming up. It was actually 50 here earlier this week, so hooray.
50.
Um, yeah. So other than
For
that,
For Minnesotans, that's sunbathing weather.
In
Just in case anybody
February?
is
In
wondering.
February. Also in
oh yeah, you
February.
betcha.
That is not that's not good. I do not like that. I'm one of the few northern Midwesterners that just I like the cold. And it's a bit
Mhm.
odd for me for it to be in the 50s in the beginning of February in Minnesota. That just does not that doesn't work for me. That's a bit off. Like I just don't appreciate that.
See, I like the cold. I'd like it to dip warmer occasionally, get to see the sun for some vitamin D. But yeah, no, bury me in a snow heap. I'm happy. But it has been nice to look outside and see some sun a little bit. But yeah, no, 50s is a bit hot. But yeah,
You
but
shake your head over there, Colin. Just
You know, you like what you like. You guys like what you want.
how very political of you. How very tactful of you. All right. Well, now also to kind of further put you on the spot, can anyone summarize what have you guys been doing? What has Benjamin and Scrap been doing? What's their deal? What's their story?
We've been scrambling, man. It's been a day and a half for them.
you're
Mm.
so squishy.
We don't have very much, we don't really pay much attention to our surroundings based upon our very low passive perceptions, enough for a giant toad to just sneak up on us. Almost dying to a toad was quite exhilarating, and being left in the dark by Dr. Honeyeater even more confusing. So it's been a pretty wild ride so far.
Yeah, getting to see more of Cluster Rock and the different factions, within. It's interesting. Also, I'm beginning to quietly regret having a character that's built around luck and dice because the dice were unkind to me the last couple of sessions. I think I
Mm,
got the first nat 1 and the first nat 20, which, I'll take the
mm.
20s all day long, but I think I got 3 nat 1s at one point. So, yeah, they're trying real hard.
In terms of luck, you're hitting all of the high points for luck. You're just
On every
it's
edge of the spectrum, yes, the
yeah,
extremes
you're
abound.
you're
Yes.
hitting the extremes. It's also been nice to see the people of Cluster Rock as well. The just the different store owners and workers that we met, the map makers, the people in small town, just lots of lots of fun characters to meet, and we got some drinking in. Yeah.